everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, where we are returning back to our Nancy Drew episode by episode review. Now we're getting with season 2. It's been a while. It's almost, when did we wrap? I think it was May. Yeah, we wrapped in May. So, damn, it's been so long, and I've completely forgot what the hell happened. But apparently, some good stuff happened with Nancy Drew since we've been away. Apparently during the pandemic and with streaming services, it apparently was one of the highest streamed digital shows that the CW produced in the last year. So that's great news for us, considering the fact they are now developing a Nancy Drew spinoff. Will I be reviewing that spinoff? I don't know. I have to wait and see. But until then, it's still just Nancy Drew. If we ever get to a Drewniverse after the Arrowverse and the Archieverse, now they're making an all-American verse. I mean, come on. CW, chill out a little bit. But anyway, expanded universe aside, we are officially beginning our reviews of every Nancy Drew Season 2 episodes starting today. So you can catch a brand new one every Thursday morning, hopefully. If nothing bad happens with my computer. Okay, let's get down to it. So, it's been 7 months. 8 months. Yeah, since we last wrapped. So, it's been a while. So, Season 2 premiere. Just watched it, and honestly, it's I want to say it's better than before. I think because now that we have the more core dynamic, like we know everything from season 1. Like season 2 definitely sets up a couple, not couple. Like it still continues the Aglaria mystery from last season, which is now a curse. So my mistake in the last season that I called it a mystery, it's a curse that the mystery is how do they beat it. So that's kind of the question for this season. And yeah, that's basically it. And there's a new self-identity crisis growing in Nancy, which I think will be interesting. It's kind of up for debate. Do we really need it? But you kind of do. But anyway, let's get through it. But overall, I did enjoy the premiere. I think they did a good job of not transforming the final episode of season 1 just to season 2, because I think I watched Riverdale just before this, and that definitely felt like, yeah, we're finishing up stuff from season 4 than being a season 5 starter. I think that was the priority they were trying to do, when in this case this definitely felt like, hey, we're doing a proper season 2. Like, yes, we are continuing the mystery and the curse that we left behind, but it is mostly sticking to what the new stuff's going to be for season 2, which I greatly appreciate. So, anyway, with that being said, let's get to it. Let's go through the Butcher recap, because me and Butcher recaps for Nancy Drew has been a very rocky ride. Will I be able to remember everything? I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, we began with a recap from season 1, because it's been a while. It's been like a hot minute. We caught up with everyone. They're now cursed by the Aglaria that they're going to die soon. Obviously, Nancy's being hit the hardest of this, because she's going to basically die in the same way her mom died, now that we figured out all the mysteries from season 1. So we cut 3 hours later. So this is immediately picking up from season 1. So there's no time skip, there's no anything. They just immediately jump into the mystery at hand. Well, not the mystery, the matter at hand. Nancy returns to Horseshoe Bay, giving us another really semi-quasi recap of season 1. Like, my name is Nancy Drew. I am a junior detective in Horseshoe Bay. I solve mysteries. I am the best detective that this town's ever seen, and I'm being hunted for murder. So, when I'm being cursed for murder. So, oh well. So, she has back to the claw. It's been a while since I said that, and everyone's basically telling them the same thing. They all seen visions. They're all cursed. And they're all screwed. Because not that long ago, it kind of felt like things were getting to a good place between all of them. And now, oof, they're all marked for death. And everyone's just curious, like, okay, it's got to be the Aglaria, so what are we going to do? We need to figure something out. But before they're able to figure out how to solve the issue, they're trying to remedy the issue by going to dispose of the items that would kill them. So Nick's truck, the meat hook that would have killed Ace, my poor soul. I don't know how you get rid of a cliff or fire, but before they figure all that stuff out. This new detective, I don't think we've introduced him yet in season 1. It's been a stretch, but if he was, I apologize, but he seems like a new character. He's the new detective. I'm believing is taking over for Mr. Drew's former girlfriend from season 1. I think he's taking over the main detective role. I believe so. It does make sense because I think she was discredited after everything she's done last season. So yeah, he's in charge and he's bringing Nancy in to the hospital for an identification. And obviously, with everything going on, Nancy's like, "Who do I need to identify?" And he explains that some girl left Gorhan. I'm gonna call it the Gore Woods. I don't even remember the second half. She's running out in a crazy state. She gets hit by a patrolman, and all she was able to say was Nancy Drew. So, with that being said, she's being summoned to the hospital, which she does. She's quite concerning because with everything going on, like there's obviously more pressing matters for her to attend to than to identify this Jane Doe, which she may not even know. So, she's willing to go along with the ride because she wants to get this over with. So she's in the hospital. She's waiting a bit. George shows up out of nowhere to kind of get her back on this. To kind of give her a moral compass. It's nice to see that Nancy and George are being more friendly. I don't remember last season they were friends, but they were like it was like much of like a more boss to worker kind of thing. This kind of feel like they're actually bromigas or something. But before they're able to continue this relationship, Mr. Drew is across the way. Apparently he's once again back to being a lawyer. He's back trying to be helping out clients, this time mostly in hospitals, because from what I remember, his his practitioner status has been damaged greatly since the whole I was framed for murder type thing back in season 1, so he has quite a bit of recovering to do. So George provides cover while Nancy goes off with the detectives to identify this girl. It's a very awkward chit-chat between George and Mr. Drew. But George did literally her best. I mean, thankfully they cut it short. It's like, you don't have to stretch out this comedy bit. And we do get a little bit of more insight of what's going on in Mr. Drew's world since, he's not part of Nancy's life right now because she needs a break from him. But thankfully George manages to separate them from even meeting each other. In the hospital room, Nancy sees the girl. Obviously immediately doesn't recognize her, but the detective's like, well, you should double check, maybe something can come up. And then Nancy looks at her hand, and it has some numbers on it, or some letters, some sort of code on her hand, which she might have a little nice playback with the new detective. And it seemed like Nancy was like, because after they were done with the session, she was about to leave, but then she gets some hand sanitizer. And then I was like, oh, I guess this is how they're going to like do a little Easter egg to the fact that, yeah, COVID's still around. So, I haven't seen COVID really affect this show per se. I know they put up a lot of new guidelines for the series, so I don't really quite know if COVID affected anything, to be fair, but oh well. It seemed fine to my books. But before Nancy leaves, she shakes the girl's hand, which is, fairly weird since Nancy's never known to do this, or this is way out of character. Where was I? Oh yeah. So turns out she uses the hand sanitizer to get a copy of the code onto her hand. So that somehow works. And then she types it in. Turns out she takes a picture of it. Turns out it spells Aglaria. So it was a code. So it's like this girl knew about what they were going through, which is confusing since it's been like. Well, first of all, it's a private matter, so how the hell does anyone else know about this? This is really starting to give me Riverdale vibes. Like, somehow they know. It's like, oh god, this is not great at all. But no, there's a logistical reason to everything. So she meets up with George. They head back to the Claw. Meanwhile, Nick is currently trying to dispose of the meat hook that would have impaled Ace, while Ace is hacking the dark web for this mysterious link. But while Nick is trying to remove the hook, he finds out that when he removes one of the screws, it just releases a ton of water, meaning that the Aglaria is basically saying, you are not removing this at all. Like, this is staying put. Ace's heart is going to go through this, or Ace's shoulder. I forgot what part of the body he got stabbed in. Also, Ace is kind of beginning to voice his disgruntledness at Nancy, considering the fact of the situation they're in. But before he's able to continue, Nancy and George show back in, and thankfully at that time... Okay, sorry, I have no idea what was going on with that. picking it up. They hack into it and they find an email, well, an email account with only one email forwarded to a Nancy Drew, which basically said like, "Hey, look, we got the thing, we got this mirror that could help you beat the area up, but we need money. Bring the cash and to this place outside of the woods." So I believe, what, does Bess come back in yet or not yet? And it's like, oh yeah, so they realize, oh, okay, so when they figure that out, they're trying to ponder, how does everyone know this? And then for the convenience of the Twitter, that somehow still is a Nancy Drew fan site, which I swear to God, I really think that's like on the nose for like the hardcore fans, myself included. So it turns out, someone tweeted out, "Hey, look, we need this. We need help. You know, if anyone can really help out, there's a reward in it for you." It's like, well, Nancy has no control. We established that last season. She has no connection with the fan side. Nick is not on social media. George doesn't do anything. Neither can Ace. So that leaves only one plausible person. That's right. The loyal Bess actually tweeted out a tweet SOS for anyone to help them out with the situation because she's scared for her life, which is understandable. But there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more pressing privacy issues to be dealt with, or whatever. Everyone knows, but so they follow suit on this. They head to this abandoned warehouse. I forgot what. They go to an abandoned property site, and which they find an insulin pump and they find a cell phone. And on the cell phone, there are videos that apparently are connected to the dark web, and which is scary considering the fact I've heard about this dark web in the past before, and literally every time I just look and it's like, is it supposed to be dark? Corniness aside. They look at the videos that kind of just timestamp these set of twins. So the girl from before and now her brother. It turns out they found the mirror. They were planning to get the money out of the Drew crew, and they were planning to meet up so they can go meet with Nancy to get the money. And then I believe something happens with him because he's nowhere to be found, and the girl is waiting for him. She finds a lighter, and then the spirit just pops out of nowhere behind her and starts attacking her, which is when the clips end. But while they were looking at the first video with the guy, they find out that it's actually related to another property site nearby the woods, which is owned by the Hudsons. Which it took me, again, signs of me forgetting, semi-quasi-forgetting what the hell was going on. I forgot the Hudsons were Ryan's family, which is her dad, and also I just remembered, oh wait, I forgot. The Hudsons were the typical rich elite family that are, got their own agendas going on. So they have no choice but to go to the private property because they're only lead on the matter. So they go, and so they get there. George and Nick split off to go find tracks, see if they can find any sort of signs of the guy. And before they're able to so they go separate, which is also kind of low-key, like them as a couple now. They want to split up and kind of talk privately. So Nancy, Bess, and Ace, I don't know why I'm forgetting names tonight. It's been a long day. They head off to go inside this property, which they're hoping has been, is currently unguarded by the Hudsons since of everything going on with them. They shouldn't be there, So they go in. It's another creepy ass building, but no, it turns out there are people there. Mr. Hudson's there. He's supposedly trying to create it. His defense is he's trying to create a defense team for his upcoming trial for everything he was accused of last season. So Nancy, Ace, and Bess are sent over to the basement to be awaited. I guess prison time or something, or something's bad is gonna happen to them. Mr. Hudson appears while they're talking about the current state of affairs, and obviously there's some weird resemblance between Mr. Hudson and Nancy. They do this weird like tapping on the tricep thing, and it's kind of funny. It's like it wasn't noticeable till it's obviously more apparent. So they're trying to figure out an excuse to why they're on the property, which isn't really coming up with any of their best examples. And then Ryan appears out of nowhere and actually bails them out, saying that like, oh well, Nancy helped me out with some family matters. She's really great. I called her here to pay for her. Why she's here in the middle of the night? Then it's like, well, she works at a restaurant. It's like crazy hours. Okay, why she bring her entourage here? It's like she wants to bring her entourage. Hell, there is a whole show called Entourage. Is that a problem? So they're allowed to leave. Mr. Hudson scolds Ryan a little bit. Turns out the real reason for their meeting is that Mr. Hudson wants to go into another business venture, and he was looking for investors slash fall people in case something goes wrong with the business. And he just basically frightens Ryan, like, look, if something happens to me, you're coming down with me too. My money is your money. So I go down, you go down. So you best be careful what you do. So Nancy the others head off while George and Nick actually find a brick in the case. They actually match one of the videos to one of the scenery nearby. They find the footprints and they call over the crew so they can go follow the tracks together. So before Nancy and the others head off, Nancy goes to talk to Ryan privately. It seemed like Ryan's more down than ever to start to become a part of Nancy's life as a parental father figure very late to the game, which Nancy's having none of it. She just wants to be independent, trying to figure things out on her own, which is respectful. It is a respectful choice to make. So they head off. They meet up with Nick and George. They start following the tracks, and eventually they find signs of a struggle, meaning that the brother was attacked by the wraiths. So now it's a rescue mission. Since remember he is a diabetic, so he needs his insulin pump, meaning that if he doesn't get in time, he's going to die. So they proceed forward into the woods, very ominously being followed by a freaking wraith. So I think this is kind of where Ace starts to vent his frustrations at Nancy for putting them in a life or death situation, which he has a point to be in. I mean, if someone put me in a life or death situation, I mean, I'll be a little bit pissed. I mean, I think it depends on the situation, but in this matter, yeah, Ace has a right to be pissed. No offense to Nancy or whatsoever, but eventually, as they're continuing walking, Bess runs into the wraith. They pull her back before the wraith is able to do anything. They engage in a very weirdly choreographed chase scene that they're just going one at a time, and then when they find this bus, they all just suddenly just pile in together, which is kind of weird in terms of how you frame it, but oh well. So they head over to the bus and they hide out in it. It turns out the brother's already there, but he's kind of really near death, and even while he's about to die, the man's still demanding for like even more money than what he was getting. So they're kind of obviously pissed with him, but eventually he starts to get into his I think it's a diabetic coma or diabetic attack. I forgot what terminology is for it. So he's about to go into it, and Nick gives him the insulin to kind of regulate him and get him back to normal, which is kind of when his like sanity kind of slowly returns somewhat. And yeah, now all six of them are tracked. Six of them? Yeah, six. No, five. Yeah, so all six of them are trapped in the bus. The wraith is slowly approaching them. They're all dead, and so they realize like, well, if they don't fear anything or they try not to fear anything in the moment, they should be able to get out of the situation for the wraith to kind of wander away, which they try. And I'll give them credit. They actually do give us a very nice flashback moment to the first day of when Nancy joined the claw crew, and it was kind of sweet because like it's kind of like a time capsule where you see Nancy just starting out. She's fresh out of high school. She is not really wanting to be associated with any one of these people. George is still a dick to her. Ace at this time period was still just interested in Bess as a romantic interest. Bess was still the novice newbie as well, and yeah, the claw was kind of bustling at that time of year, so that was kind of cool. And while it seemed like things were starting to get mundane for Nancy, she runs into Nick for the first time, and you can obviously see their like lingering looks. It's like, oh, I like you, and it's like, oh, I like you too. It's like that sort of thing. Kind of cool. That was kind of cool, but kind of like as a parallel to where they are now, like broken up. Now he's dating her friend now, so it's kind of weird how things turned out. But while they try to remember that time, it was like, wait, no, that day was kind of bad. But they were trying to make a good out of it, and then the wraith kind of comes in and ruins everything, ruins the moment. Eventually, the wraith starts getting more and more stronger to get inside. Nancy realized that if she just focuses all the fear into herself, she might be able to give everyone else an opportunity to run away. So they do so. The brother wants to stay behind, tell Nancy, you got to come too. And she's like, nah, I'm not doing it because my friends need me. Like, they're my friends. They don't deserve to die. So they all leave. Nancy focuses all her fear into herself, which is enough to attract the Wraith even further just to her. And she starts thinking about basically everything we've seen in the past season, like all of her changes, like everything that's happened in her life. And she realizes the things she fears the most right now is herself, because at this point in her life, she doesn't know who she is, for better or for worse. So that's starting to hit her pretty well. And then she then finds out, because the Wraith is a little bit scared of the sparks, because she moves one of the bus chairs back at him, which kind of creates a little spark, which kind of creates a little fire, which she realizes, oh, he's scared of fire. So she takes out the gold lighter she found back in the other abandoned place, throws it in the ground, and actually, because of all the decomposed leaves and everything and the state of the condition, it just blows up into like flames. The brother comes back in to go get Nancy out, and so the six just watch the bus burn and somehow easily defeat a Wraith. They could have really tried an easier job for that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think after that I believe they head back out. Do they have another scene? No, yeah. So they start heading back out. Nancy and the brother have a little bit of a back and forth. Turns out the brother wants 950 now. So Nancy almost saved your life. Well, actually, her friend saved your life, and you're charging them more money. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair play there. So she gives him all the money that Ryan gave her, plus a couple of her own money. Which honestly, I don't know how Nancy's sustaining herself. I mean, her father figure is currently banned from her life, and she doesn't want anything to do with her from her real dad, which are both financial sources. And I don't expect the Claws paying her that much. So, yikes. So they head back to the road with the mirror. Nancy burns off the glass using the side, and it's enough to find an inscription inside the mirror in the wooden frame, and it reveals that what was the phrasing? I forgot. It was oh yeah. So there was the Aglaria has a the Aglaria has a secret weakness, and it's in a sea shanty. Which, if I remember anything from Total Drama World Tour, it's a song from the old days. So now they have another new mystery to solve. Like, what the hell is this sea shanty, and how do we get it so we can beat the Aglaria? But before they can figure any of that out, the police show back up with a warrant for the brother's arrest because of his rap sheet, and an arrest for Nancy because she's holding stolen property, because the mirror technically belongs to the Hudson. So they both get arrested. They both get taken in. The brother only goes in quietly to go see his sister, which the two kind of just seemingly are like, oh hey, we are ready to start a new life once this is over, which is honestly it's quite hilarious in my opinion. Even though I'm pretty sure they're gonna go to jail after this, which honestly the way they were kind of setting up this thing, like they could potentially join the Drew crew, but I'm like, nah, let's not. Yeah. So from then, Nancy, still in handcuffs, gets approached by the other detective. He tells her that he's not arresting her. The drops were charged, or there's no charges to press her for. And honestly, I just remember, did she ever do that arraignment trial? Like, we were kind of setting that up in season 1. Like, I completely forgot. Did they even drop that? Is that still going to happen? Because like that was a season of being mentioned. You got a trial. You got this trial coming with Nancy. You got to figure this out. And it's like, did they drop it or what? I don't distinctly remember anymore. So. Whatever. So she heads outside. Turns out it was Ryan who was the one who decided not to press charges, since technically, with Nancy being a Hudson to an extent, it is family, so she's not stealing anything that's rightfully hers. So he gives her back the mirror to be used for her mystery. Mr. Drew's in the area. The two talk. They briefly catch up about where things are at between them right now, and the fact that Mr. Drew wants to know what's going on with Nancy, since those two were talking. Damn that. What was his name? Ryan is being a snidey asshole, and it's like, yeah, I'm not telling you anything. That's a father-daughter, family matter. You're not involved in this. And while Mr. Drew's trying to say his point on why he should be involved in this, Ryan reminds him that Nancy basically shut him out of his life, as well as if anyone was to know what Nancy's true parentage were, technically you could charge Mr. Drew for kidnapping as well, and having that on his report as well as being accused for murder is not great for business. So Mr. Drews kind of stays quiet about it as he accepts that. So we head back to the Claw. Nick, Georgia, and Bess are kind of in shock because the car is still there, even though Nick had asked Bess to get rid of it. But no, it's still there, so they're wondering, like, did the Aglaria just lifted this car into back to the Claw? But no, it turns out the local towing company moved it back since, while it was scheduled to be compacted, the compactor and the entire lot was flooded. So there is no flooding. So since there was no real property transfer, the car is going back to Nick, and the guy just basically refuses, like, yeah, I'm not touching that thing again. Like, I'm done. So the group's trying to figure out, like, I guess the car's staying. It looks like the Galeria's not letting go of her grip just yet. And I believe, yeah, so we head back to the meat room. Ace is trying to bundle up the hook with some towels. Like, that's going to freaking work. Nancy comes in. They have a heart-to-heart. Turns out Ace is not mad at her. Like, he doesn't hate her, but she's, like, mad at him for, like, she's always doing these things that puts everyone in risk, and the only reason he really cares about this is that this is the first crew he's truly felt a part of, and he's truly loved to be in, and the fact that it's going to be at jeopardy because of what Nancy did is something that he can just let go with ease. So that makes sense. I understand that completely. Nancy said nothing bad's gonna happen to you guys. We're gonna find a way out of this, which Ace is like, okay, but we'll see what happens. And then I believe, so I believe after that Nancy walks out of the Claw, now trying to figure out what's the next step. They have to find the sea shanty to beat the Aglaria, so she leaves the Claw with still the ominous threat that the Aglaria is still out there waiting to kill them. And that concludes our Season 2 premiere. So overall, I still enjoy the premiere. I think it was more of Nancy Drew, a little bit more tighter focus since we have the established dynamic. We know where things are at right now. There's nothing big to solve. Like, there's a mystery per se, but it's not something that's going to break the gates wide open per se, if you know what I mean by that. And yeah, I think that the cast did a very solid job. This definitely did not feel like a season 1 episode packaged into season 2. This definitely felt like something written for season 2, which I appreciate for the effort, considering the fact, there are shows out there that, no offense, because they worked on the last season and the pandemic shut them down. So I'm not even mad at them. I'm just saying that it could have been just easy, like, let's just copy and paste whatever we had left planned out just for the sake of, like, having some proper easy things to get back into. But I'm very thankful they didn't do that. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how things progress this season, since I can't imagine the Aglaria mystery wrapping up and going on for that long. So it is almost and hopefully the identity crisis thing that Nancy's going through is something that won't take the whole season to get through, considering the fact that she knows who she is. Like, sure, her family identity is kind of at risk, but she still knows who she is at her core, which is being a detective and solving these mysteries, which is something she's going to have to accept at some point sooner or later. I hope we don't get a whole season invested into that. I really don't. Hopefully they do something like what they did with last season, where a bulk of it was on the Tiffany and Lucy murders, but at the tail end we got those solved, and then we got the Aglaria mystery and trying to just resolving everything that kind of was the priority there, which I do respect them tackling. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But overall, I give the season 2 premiere a thumb and a half. I like the episode. I didn't 100% love it, but it's still a very solid start to the season, and I can't wait to see where does season 2 go next. And I think that's gonna do it for me. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing every Nancy Drew season 2 episode reviews. If you want to know what we're doing overall, What's in the Tube besides those Nancy Drew season 2 episode reviews, we are also doing The Rookie season 3 episode reviews each and every Monday morning after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on ABC or on Mondays on Hulu afterwards. As well as tomorrow, we are about to begin our Walker episode reviews, also from the CW. We will be beginning that every Friday mornings after a brand new episode on Thursday nights on the CW, and then free on Friday morning on the CW app. But if you only care about Nancy Drew season 2, then you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another episode review. I The promo kind of just signified that, yeah, they're going to try and wrap this up fairly quickly, the Aglaria stuff, or at least it's going to go on a much faster pace. But again, we'll see how things progress. I'll let the writers do as they may. As I say before, the writers are much more smarter than me, so let's see what they do. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more What's in the Tube, specifically on Nancy Drew reviews, subscribe to ActionX at youtube.com/ActionX. Ring the bell for notification when our next episode review is live, specifically on Nancy Drew. That's every Thursday morning. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it does really help us out, gets us out there to new people who hasn't yet discovered us. So please, it's free, it's easy, but again, no obligation. And as well as follow us on Twitter to be up to date on any sort of updates for the channel, any changes in our schedule, as well as follow us on Twitch. We're streaming there every Sunday before a brand new episode of The Rookie. It's been fun so far. I can't wait to go back into this Sunday and play some more games. So that'll be fun. But until then, for you... This is Jared. Well, I should really mute that considering the fact it's been a half an hour. That's just perfect timing, so... I'm sorry about that. But for you, Drew Crew, I'll see you all next week. But until then, again, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and peace out.